You know what nobody tells you about rock bottom? It's not the fall that destroys you. It's the lying there afterward, staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., convincing yourself that the cold concrete beneath your back is actually comfortable, that the darkness is safer than the light, that staying down is easier than standing up. I met a man once. Let's call him Marcus. 47 years old, sitting in a diner at 2 in the morning, hands wrapped around a coffee cup that had gone cold an hour ago. The fluorescent lights hummed above him, casting shadows under his eyes that looked like they'd been carved there by years of almost. Almost started that business. Almost asked her out. Almost took that risk. Almost lived. He told me something I'll never forget. He said, "I used to think my life was a tragedy in progress. Then I realized it was worse. It was a tragedy of pause. I pressed pause on my own story and forgot where I left the remote." See, that's the thing about excuses. They're not just lies we tell others. They're the lullabies we sing ourselves to sleep with every night. They're the prison we build brick by brick, and then we complain about the view. You say you're too tired? Let me tell you about tired. There's a woman in Manila right now working her third shift in 18 hours, taking online courses on her phone during her 10-minute breaks, learning to code because she decided her daughter will never clean houses like she does. She doesn't know your name, will never meet you, but she's outworking you right this second. While you scroll, while you binge, while you wait for Monday, while you wait for next month, while you wait for the perfect moment that's never coming because perfect moments aren't found. They're forged in the fire of imperfect action. But I'm not here to guilt you. Guilt is cheap fuel. Burns fast, leaves you emptier than before. I'm here to tell you about the other thing nobody mentions. The thing that happens when you finally stop lying to yourself. When you finally look in the mirror and see not the person you pretend to be, not the person you wish you were, but the person you've actually been. The person who's been hiding. There's a version of you that doesn't exist yet. I know you feel it sometimes, in those rare moments of clarity. Maybe it's 5 a.m. and you couldn't sleep, and suddenly you're filled with this strange energy, this vision of who you could become. Or maybe it's after watching someone else succeed, and instead of jealousy, you feel this hunger, this knowing that you're capable of more. That feeling. That's not fantasy. That's not delusion. That's your future self banging on the walls of today, screaming to be let out. But here's the problem. That future version of you, they're being held hostage, and you're the kidnapper. Every time you hit snooze, you're stealing minutes from them. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you're pulling them further away. Every time you make an excuse, you're tightening the chains. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine your future self, 5 years from now. They're sitting across from you right now, at a table. They can see you, but you can't see them. They're watching every choice you make. Every time you quit, they feel it. Every time you scroll instead of study, they age a little. Every time you say tomorrow, they die a little. Now imagine they could speak to you. Imagine they could reach across time and grab you by the shoulders and look you in the eyes. What do you think they'd say? Would they thank you for protecting them with your caution? Would they appreciate all those times you played it safe, stayed small, avoided risk? Or would they beg you to take the shot? Would they plead with you to be braver than you feel? Would they tell you that every comfort you choose now is a regret they carry then? You want to know the real tragedy? It's not that you'll fail. Failure is data. Failure is education. Failure is the tuition you pay to the universe for daring to try. The real tragedy is that you won't. You won't try. You won't dare. You won't risk. And decades from now, when your bones ache and your time is measured in sunsets instead of summers, you won't be haunted by your failures. You'll be haunted by your almosts, your what-ifs, your could-have-beens. There's a graveyard somewhere for dreams that were never attempted. It's filled with novels never written, businesses never started, conversations never had, apologies never delivered, risks never taken, loves never confessed. And the saddest part, every single person who visits that graveyard looks at those tombstones and sees their own name. But let me tell you about a different place. Let me tell you about the arena. The arena is where people bleed, where they fail publicly, where they try and fall and get laughed at and criticized and judged. It's uncomfortable, it's scary, it's vulnerable, and it's where every single person who ever did anything worth remembering spent their time. You know who's not in the arena? The critics, the commentators, the people who've never built anything, never risked anything, never put themselves on the line. They're in the stands, eating popcorn, pointing fingers, feeling superior because at least they never failed. But here's what they don't understand. The person in the arena covered in dust and sweat and blood. Even when they lose, they're winning. Because they're becoming. They're learning. They're growing. They're alive. The people in the stands, they're already dead. They just haven't admitted it yet. So which one are you? Don't answer quickly. Don't give me the person you want to be. Tell me who you've actually been. Tell me where you've actually spent your time. Are you in the arena, or are you in the stands eating popcorn and explaining why other people's attempts aren't good enough? I know what you're thinking, but I'm not ready. I don't have enough skills yet. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough experience. I don't have enough connections. I don't have enough confidence. Let me tell you a secret that will change your life if you let it. Ready? Nobody is ready. Ever. For anything. The woman who starts a business, not ready. The man who proposes, not ready. The artist who shares their work, not ready. The person who switches careers at 40, not ready. The student who raises their hand, not ready. Readiness is a myth we invented to justify inaction. It's a drug we take to numb the discomfort of growth. It's a cage we build and then complain about the bars. You want to know when you'll be ready? Never. And that's actually the most liberating thing you'll ever hear. Because if you're never going to be ready, then you might as well start now, today, this moment, exactly as you are, with exactly what you have, which is always, always, always enough. There's a concept in physics called activation energy. It's the initial energy required to start a chemical reaction. The thing about activation energy is that it's the highest point. Once you push past it, the reaction continues on its own. It becomes easier. It builds momentum. Your life is the same way. The hardest part is starting. The first workout is brutal. The second one is hard. The 10th one is routine. The 100th one is who you are. The first page is terrifying. The first chapter is challenging. The first book is defining. The first day is excruciating. The first month is difficult. The first year is transformative. But you have to start. You have to push through that activation energy. You have to do the thing when it's hard, so it can become the thing that's natural. Let me tell you about a friend of mine. We'll call her Sarah. Sarah was a nurse for 15 years. Good at her job, comfortable, safe, but there was this thing inside her, this whisper that kept getting louder. She wanted to be a photographer, not as a hobby, as a life. For 3 years she made excuses. She was too old to start over. She had bills. She had responsibilities. She didn't have the right equipment. She didn't know the right people. She didn't have formal training. Then one day, her mother died. Suddenly. Unexpectedly. And Sarah found herself at the funeral, looking at the photos they'd displayed, realizing that her mother had spent 40 years as an accountant when she'd always wanted to be a teacher. She'd made excuses too. She'd waited for the right time. The right time never came. Sarah told me she stood there, looking at her mother's face in those photos, and made a decision. She said she could almost hear her mother's voice saying, "Don't you dare wait like I did. Don't you dare make my mistake." 6 months later, Sarah quit her nursing job. She sold her car, bought camera equipment, took online courses, reached out to every photographer in her city offering to assist for free. She ate ramen. She worked 18-hour days. She got rejected by 97 potential clients before landing her first paid gig. Today, she shoots for magazines. She travels the world. She makes less money than she did as a nurse, but she told me something I'll never forget. She said, "I used to make a living. Now I'm making a life." There's a difference. That difference, that's what's waiting on the other side of your excuses. But here's what nobody tells you. The journey is going to hurt. Growth feels like breaking before it feels like building. Change feels like loss before it feels like gain. Evolution feels like death before it feels like birth. Then you're going to have days when you question everything, When you're 3 months in and you've seen no results. When everyone around you is comfortable and you're uncomfortable. When your friends are out having fun and you're home working. When people ask you what you've accomplished and you have to admit you're still in the messy middle. Those days? Those are the days that determine everything. Because here's the truth about success that nobody wants to hear. It's not sexy. It's not Instagram-worthy. It's not about the moments of triumph. It's about the 1,000 invisible moments that nobody sees. The moments when you chose discipline over desire. The moments when you showed up when you didn't feel like it. The moments when you kept going when every logical reason said quit. Success is built in the dark. In the early mornings when you train while others sleep. In the late nights when you learn while others scroll. In the uncomfortable conversations when you grow while others avoid. In the lonely hours when you build while others coast. And the hardest part, nobody's watching. Nobody's cheering. Nobody's validating. You have to be your own witness, your own coach, your own believer. That's why most people quit, not because it's too hard, but because it's too anonymous. They need the validation. They need the applause. They need proof that it's working. But the people who make it, they fall in love with the process, not the outcome. They find joy in the discipline itself. They become the kind of person who shows up, not for the results, but because showing up is who they are. Let me tell you something about identity. Your identity isn't what you think about yourself. It's what you do consistently. You can tell yourself you're a writer all you want, but if you don't write, you're not a writer. You're someone who wishes they were a writer. You can tell yourself you're an entrepreneur, but if you never start anything, you're not an entrepreneur. You're someone with entrepreneurial thoughts. You can tell yourself you're going to change, but if your actions stay the same, you're not changing. You're just daydreaming with your eyes open. Your identity is the vote you cast for yourself with every action. Every morning you wake up early, that's a vote for the disciplined version of you. Every time you do the hard thing, that's a vote for the courageous version of you. Every time you choose growth over comfort, that's a vote for the evolved version of you. And here's the beautiful thing. You don't need a majority to win. You just need to keep voting, keep taking action, keep showing up. Eventually the votes accumulate. Eventually the person you're becoming becomes the person you are. But it requires something that most people don't want to give. It requires you to sacrifice the person you've been for the person you're becoming. And that feels like death. Because it is. It's the death of your old self, your comfortable self, your safe self, your excuses-making, dream-killing, small-living self. That person has to die, has to be left behind, has to be mourned and released and let go. And that's terrifying. Because even if that person was limiting you, at least they were familiar. At least you knew who they were. This new person, they're uncertain, they're unknown, they're uncomfortable, but they're also unlimited. Think about a caterpillar. It doesn't gradually become a butterfly. It doesn't sprout wings while staying a caterpillar. No. It enters a cocoon and literally dissolves. It becomes soup. Its entire structure breaks down at a cellular level. And from that destruction, from that complete dissolution, something entirely new emerges. That's what transformation requires. Not addition, subtraction, not building on top of who you are, destroying who you've been, so something new can emerge. And you're in the cocoon right now. You might not realize it, but you are. That discomfort you feel, that restlessness, that sense that something needs to change, that's the dissolution beginning. That's your old self starting to break down. That's the soup stage. Don't fight it. Don't run from it. Don't numb it with distractions and substances and scrolling and binging and shopping and eating and sleeping and avoiding. Feel it. Honor it. Let it break you down so you can be built back up into something you never imagined you could be. There's a Japanese art called kintsugi. When a piece of pottery breaks, instead of throwing it away, they repair it with gold. They make the cracks beautiful. They make the breaks part of the art. The philosophy is that the breaking and the repairing make the object more valuable, not less. Your life is kintsugi. Every failure is a crack. Every heartbreak is a break. Every setback is a fracture. But if you're willing to see them differently, If you're willing to fill them with the gold of wisdom and resilience and growth, those cracks become the most beautiful part of you. The person who's never failed, their perfect pottery sitting on a shelf, unused, untested, untouched by life. Beautiful maybe, but not valuable, not interesting, not art. You? With your cracks, with your failures, with your mistakes, your kintsugi, your art. You're valuable precisely because you've been broken and chose to repair yourself with gold. But you have to choose the gold. You have to choose to see your struggles as valuable. You have to choose to turn your pain into purpose, your mess into message, your test into testimony. And nobody can do that for you. No motivational video, no inspiring book, no perfect mentor, no ideal circumstance. You, only you, choosing, every single day, to pick up the pieces and make them beautiful. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds great, but you don't know my situation. You don't know my circumstances. You don't know what I'm dealing with. You don't know how hard it is. You're right. I don't. But I know this. Somewhere right now, someone with fewer advantages than you is outworking you. Someone with more obstacles than you is finding a way. Someone with less support than you is building something. Someone with more excuses than you is ignoring them. There's a man named Kyle Maynard. He was born with a condition that left him with arms that end at the elbows and legs that end at the knees. No hands, no feet, just stubs. He became a champion wrestler in high school, competed against able-bodied athletes, got destroyed at first, lost match after match. But he kept going. Eventually, he started winning. Then he became a champion. But he didn't stop there. He learned mixed martial arts, competed in MMA fights. Then he decided to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, without prosthetics, crawling, on his stubs. For 10 days, almost 20,000 feet of elevation. He made it. Then he climbed Mount Aconcagua, nearly 23,000 feet, same way, crawling, on his stubs. Now, I'm not telling you this to make you feel guilty. I'm telling you this to shatter your excuses, to obliterate your reasons why you can't, to show you that the only real limitation is the one you accept. Kyle Maynard doesn't have hands. You do. And you're telling me you can't write that book, can't start that business, can't make that change. There's a woman named Arunima Sinha. She was pushed from a moving train during a robbery attempt. She fell under the wheels. They had to amputate her leg. While she was recovering in the hospital, she decided she was going to climb Mount Everest. With one leg, people laughed at her, told her she was crazy, told her to be realistic. 2 years later, she became the first female amputee to summit Everest. Then she climbed the highest peaks on every continent. 7 summits. One leg. You have 2 legs. And you're telling me you can't show up to the gym, can't go for a walk, can't take one step toward your goal. I'm not saying your struggles aren't real. They are. I'm not saying your challenges don't matter. They do. But what I am saying is that your challenges are not unique enough to be an excuse. Your struggles are not special enough to justify staying stuck. Because someone, somewhere, with more challenges than you, is still finding a way, still moving forward, still taking action, still refusing to quit. The question isn't whether your challenges are real. They are. The question is whether you're going to let them define you or develop you, whether you're going to use them as an excuse or as fuel, whether they're going to be the reason you failed or the reason you succeeded. And that choice? That's the only thing you actually control. You don't control your circumstances. You don't control what happened to you. You don't control how you were raised or what cards you were dealt or what advantages or disadvantages you started with. But you control what you do next. You control the choice you make right now. You control whether you keep reading this or close it, whether you take one step today or tell yourself tomorrow, whether you start or stall, act or avoid, build or blame. That control, that's your power, that's your agency, that's your freedom. And the beautiful thing about that control is that it doesn't require permission. You don't need anyone to approve your decision to change. You don't need anyone to validate your choice to grow. You don't need anyone to sign off on your dreams. You just decide, and then you move. There's a concept called the 2-minute rule. It says that any new habit should take less than 2 minutes to start. Want to be a writer? Write one sentence. Want to be a runner? Put on your shoes. Want to be healthy? Do one push-up. The idea is that starting is the hardest part. Once you start, momentum carries you. The sentence becomes a paragraph, becomes a page. The shoes lead to a walk, leads to a run. The push-up becomes a workout, becomes a lifestyle. But you have to start. You have to break the inertia. You have to prove to yourself that you can take one tiny action toward who you want to become. And here's the secret. That tiny action changes your identity. That one sentence makes you a writer. That one walk makes you a runner. That one push-up makes you someone who works out. You're not waiting to become that person. You're becoming that person with every micro-action you take. Let me tell you about compound interest. Not the financial kind, the life kind. If you improve by just 1% every day, do you know where you are in a year? You're not 365% better. You're 37 times better. That's the power of compound growth. But here's the thing. If you get 1% worse every day, in a year you're down to almost zero. That's the power of compound decay. Every single day, you're either compounding toward greatness or decaying toward mediocrity. There is no neutral. There is no maintaining. You're either growing or dying, building or breaking, rising or falling. And it's the small choices that determine the direction. The choice to wake up on time or hit snooze. The choice to work on your goal or scroll on your phone. The choice to have the hard conversation or avoid it. The choice to do one more rep or quit early. Those choices seem insignificant in the moment. They feel like they don't matter. But they compound. They accumulate. They determine your destination. You want to know where you'll be in 5 years? Look at what you're doing today. Look at the small choices you're making consistently. Look at what you're compounding toward. Because 5 years will pass whether you're intentional or not. Whether you're building or coasting. Whether you're growing or stagnant. The time will pass. The question is, who will you be when it does? Will you be the person with 5 years of experience? Or will you be the person with 1 year of experience repeated 5 times? Will you be evolved? Or will you be exactly where you are now, just older, more bitter, more regretful? That's determined by what you do today. This moment, this choice, this action. Now, I know some of you are feeling inspired right now. You're feeling motivated. You're feeling ready to take action. And that's beautiful. But here's what's going to happen. Tomorrow you'll wake up, and the feeling will be gone. The inspiration will have faded. The motivation will have evaporated. And you'll be left with the same challenges, the same obstacles, the same excuses as before. And that's when you'll discover the truth about success. It's not built on motivation. It's built on commitment. It's built on discipline. It's built on showing up, especially when you don't feel like it. Motivation is the spark, but discipline is the fire. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you going. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is character. And the only way to build discipline is to practice it. To show up when you promised you would, even when you don't want to. To do the thing you committed to, even when it's hard. To keep going when motivation has left the building. Because here's what they don't tell you about achieving anything worthwhile. Most of it happens when you don't feel like doing it. Most of progress is made when you're tired, when you're frustrated, when you're doubting, when you're struggling, when every part of you wants to quit. That's when champions are made. Not in the moments of strength, in the moments of weakness when they choose strength anyway. Let me tell you about a writer named Octavia Butler. She worked minimum wage jobs for years while trying to become a published author. She woke up at 2 or 3 in the morning before her shifts to write. She was rejected again and again, hundreds of times. She had dyslexia, which made writing even harder. She came from poverty. She had no connections in the publishing world. She had every excuse to quit. But she had a ritual. Every morning she would write in her journal, "I will be a best-selling author." She would write it over and over, not because she believed it yet, but because she was committed to becoming someone who believed it. Eventually, she became not just a published author, but an award-winning one, a pioneering voice in science fiction, a legend. But not because she was motivated every day, because she was committed every day. There's a difference. Commitment means you've made a decision that's deeper than your feelings. You've decided that this is who you are now, regardless of how you feel. You've decided that this is non-negotiable, no matter what obstacles appear. Most people fail because they're trying to rely on motivation. They're waiting to feel like it. They're hoping inspiration will strike. They're looking for the perfect conditions. But the people who succeed, they've stopped negotiating with themselves. They've stopped debating whether they feel like it. They just do it. Because they committed. And their commitment is stronger than their excuses. So here's my question for you. Are you motivated or are you committed? Because motivation will get you through a few days, maybe a few weeks. But commitment? Commitment will get you through a lifetime. Commitment will get you through the days when nothing seems to be working, through the setbacks, through the failures, through the criticism, through the doubt, through the fear, through all of it. Because commitment isn't about feelings, it's about identity. It's about deciding who you are and then living in alignment with that decision, no matter what. Now let's talk about fear. Because I know that's the real thing holding most of you back. Not lack of time, not lack of resources. Fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of success, fear of change, fear of being exposed, fear of not being enough, fear of being too much. Just fear. And here's what I want you to understand about fear. It's information, not instruction. Fear tells you what matters to you. If you weren't afraid, it would mean you didn't care. So fear, in a weird way, is a compass. It points you toward what's important. But fear is a terrible decision maker. It's a good advisor, but a terrible master. It should inform your decisions, not make them. Think about it. Every single thing you want is on the other side of fear. The relationship you want, you have to risk rejection. The business you want, you have to risk failure. The life you want, you have to risk change. Risk is the tax you pay for living a meaningful life, and fear is just the feeling of standing at the tax collector's window. It doesn't mean don't pay. It just means the payment matters, so feel the fear. Acknowledge it. Thank it for showing you what's important, and then do the thing anyway. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's action in the presence of fear. It's feeling terrified and moving forward anyway. It's being afraid and doing it scared. And here's the beautiful thing that happens when you do that. The fear doesn't go away, but you become bigger than it. It's still there, but you're no longer controlled by it. You've proven to yourself that you can feel fear and act anyway. And that changes everything. Because now you know. You know that fear is just a feeling, not a fact. You know that you're capable of more than you thought. You know that the scary thing wasn't as scary as you imagined. And even if it was, you survived it. That knowledge, that's power, that's freedom, that's growth. But you only get that knowledge by doing the scary thing, by taking the risk, by facing the fear. There's no other way. You can read every book, watch every video, listen to every podcast. But until you actually step into the arena, until you actually face the thing you're afraid of, until you actually take the action, nothing changes. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. It's just information that makes you feel productive while keeping you stuck. It's just another way to avoid the real work, which is the work of facing your fears and taking action despite them. So stop consuming, stop preparing, stop waiting to feel ready, start doing, start failing, start learning by trying instead of trying to learn before starting. Because the truth is, you learn more from 1 hour of action than from 10 hours of consumption. You learn more from one failure than from 10 successes. You learn more from one uncomfortable conversation than from 10 comfortable ones. Growth happens at the edge of your comfort zone, and the only way to get there is to step towards the discomfort instead of away from it. Now here's something else nobody tells you. The journey is going to change you. You think you're pursuing a goal, but really the goal is pursuing you. You think you're trying to achieve something, but really you're trying to become someone. The goal is just the vehicle. The real prize is who you become in the pursuit. Think about it. Let's say you want to build $1 million business. You think the prize is the $1 million. But that's not it. The prize is becoming the kind of person who can build $1 million business. The discipline, the resilience, the creativity, the leadership, the problem solving. That's the real prize. Because even if you lose the money, you can't lose who you became. Even if the business fails, the skills remain. Even if the outcome isn't what you expected, the growth is permanent. That's why the goal is never really about the goal. It's about the transformation. It's about who you have to become to achieve it. And here's the beautiful thing. Once you become that person, once you develop those skills and that character and that resilience, you can do it again. You can achieve another goal and another, because you've become the kind of person who achieves goals. That's the real secret of success. It's not about achieving one thing. It's about becoming the kind of person who achieves things, the kind of person who doesn't give up, the kind of person who finds solutions, the kind of person who keeps going when it's hard. Once you become that person, the specific goals almost don't matter, because you know you can achieve them. You've proven it to yourself. You've built the identity. You've cast enough votes for that version of yourself that it's who you are now, not who you're trying to be. And that's when life gets really interesting. Because now you're not motivated by fear or desperation or proving something to others. You're motivated by curiosity, by creativity, by contribution, by seeing what you're capable of, by testing your limits, by playing the game at the highest level you can. That's when you stop grinding and start flowing. That's when work stops feeling like work and starts feeling like expression. That's when you stop chasing success and success starts chasing you. But you have to earn that. You have to pay the price first. You have to put in the hard years, the unglamorous years. The years when nobody's watching and nothing seems to be happening and you're just showing up day after day, doing the work, building the skills, becoming the person. That's the initiation. That's the test. That's what separates the people who dream from the people who do. And here's the final thing I want to tell you. The most important thing. The thing that changes everything if you really hear it. You're going to die. I know that's dark. I know that's uncomfortable. But it's true. One day, sooner than you think, you're going to die. Your heart will stop. Your breath will cease. Your consciousness will end. And everything you did or didn't do will be final. You won't get to come back and take the risks you avoided. You won't get to have the conversations you postponed. You won't get to become the person you could have been. This is it. This life, this moment, this opportunity, this chance. And you can spend it safe, comfortable, avoiding risk, playing small, making excuses, staying stuck. Or you can spend it alive, fully alive, taking risks, pursuing dreams, becoming who you're capable of becoming. Living in a way that when death comes, you can look it in the eye and say, I lived, I really lived. I didn't waste it, I didn't hold back. I gave everything I had to give. Which one sounds better to you? Because I promise you, when you're old, when your time is running out, you won't regret the things you tried and failed at. You'll regret the things you never tried. You'll regret the risks you didn't take, the dreams you didn't pursue, the person you didn't become. Don't let that be your story. Don't let your life be a tragedy of pause. Don't let fear and excuses rob you of your potential. Your future self is counting on you. They're watching you right now, hoping you'll make the choice that gives them the life they deserve, hoping you'll be brave enough to start, strong enough to continue, wise enough to keep going when it's hard. Be that person. Make that choice. Take that step. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready. Now. Today. This moment. Start before you're ready. Risk before you're confident. Begin before you're prepared. Because the truth is, the perfect moment is now. It's always now. It's only now. And if you're waiting for permission, here it is. You're allowed to dream bigger. You're allowed to want more. You're allowed to change. You're allowed to start over. You're allowed to pursue what makes you come alive. You don't need anyone's approval. You don't need anyone's validation. You just need your own commitment, your own decision, your own action. So what's it going to be? Are you going to keep making excuses, keep playing small, keep living the life you settled for? Or are you going to step into the arena? Are you going to take the risk? Are you going to become who you're capable of becoming? The choice is yours. It's always been yours. It will always be yours. Choose wisely. Choose courageously. Choose today. Your future is watching. Make them proud. If this story touched your heart, consider subscribing. It helps us bring more powerful stories to you.